Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of my Mystcraft map, SMP. Over the last week, I've been quite busy catching up in things that I wanted to do in Mystcraft, and the first one that I'd like to show you is a special variation of a Redpower 2 frame mining rig. I've been doing a little bit of testing with it, as you can see. Some unusual features of this. By the suggestion of one of my friends, I'm using a World Anchor cart from the Railcraft mod, and I'm using a little bit of an unusual motor design on here. I sort of ran out of space in the middle of doing it. The complexity of it required me to go for a computer control. I was trying to do a more traditional counter and other style of control, but design specification down here actually necessitated that. I have the block breakers, as you might suspect, but I also have transposers, and they're interspersed one after the other in an alternating pattern. And I'm using the minimum head width of 3. And this design requires that I move the head forward 1 to break the other set of blocks in the area that I'm working on, as well as that I pulse it twice. And the reason that I'm doing that is specifically because I require that... Oh, I need to reset that. That would break. No, wait, I abbreviated it. So the other important thing here is right there that locks the frame movement together when that touches that. So now it's one singular piece. And lock. Where was it? One more down. Well, I can start here. It'll just be a little boring. Anyway, the entire reason for doing a head like this is so that I can collect the loot from dungeon chests. If you are able to skip that requirement, you can vastly simplify this entire setup by not doing that. But I was trying to see if it was possible to have the same mining functionality as the SMP Thalmcraft mining rig with a Redpower 2 rig. And I've got a cabling nightmare along here, which the part that's most annoying is this right here. The frame deployer and braking sections will each be isolated so that the brakes are synchronized and the deploying is synchronized, but I can't have the two signals crossing, and I can't have the item feedbacks crossing. So I have to use all of these division things, and I have to put frames on all the sides there. And the fact that I wanted to have the motors here requires that I do a dirty little trick where I have a frame motor here acting as a singular directional frame support for that motor up there, since that's the only frame that it's touching, as well as a power source. So that right there is providing power for everything down here. I also had to add these here because these frame motors up here were getting stuck over here without enough power to continue, since I was moving it back and forth a couple of times. Normally there's enough of a delay for the entire grid to restabilize, but occasionally that does not happen if you are doing continuous movements. I might actually... oh, that's why I didn't do it. Yeah. Let's see. I should probably cover the program on this, but first, it's 63C. Store now. And run the mining program. I set up a computer over here, just so that I can show you the program that I'm currently running. As you can see, it's somewhat simplified. I have a couple of basic instructions. One of them is an IOSTB instruction, and there is a head forward, head back, mine, ARM break, and ARM add. Then there's head down and head up singular movements. Platform west, east, north, south. Bit is a single mining operation, as in the smallest operation I would normally work with. It's also a portion of a byte, which is why I went with that unusual description for it. And that operation encompasses breaking the top block off the arm to free it, moving the head down, mining, moving it forward, mining, moving it back, adding the blocks back in, and then moving the head back up to lock it in place. What that allows it to do is go through all of the motions in one single step, and there's two different mining passes that are involved. So the first one is that I have it move to the north through that entire loop, and the second one is that I have it move south through the entire loop. And that's controlled by a variable that you have to refresh every time you want to begin mining. Well, every time you reset the computer anyway, which is in the second, 0, 1, 2, the second memory position. And that you need to take into account that it starts already in the 0th position, so you subtract 1 from what you think you want to do for the range, and you also have to subtract the head width of your unit, which in this case is 3. So you take 4 away from whatever your unit is, and that's what you end up getting for moving back and forth. In this case, I would enter 44 in there to begin mining correctly. The second thing that you would do is specify the depth. So you'll notice that when I started out earlier, I saw that I was positioning the head at about 65, and I know that I want to go down until I reach about 5. So, that is, the block beneath my feet was 65 on the top, and I want to get to 5 on the top down there where the bedrock is. So the difference between those is 60, and that's what I stored in a decimal value in the third spot in memory. So the STRIPMINE will divide that number in half because it moves to the left and then to the right, or the right and the left depending on which way you're facing it, and it will do north and then south each time going down, finish the loop, and then when it gets done it will take the duplicate of that number and just pull the head back up from the bottom depths. So in that manner you are able to go across and clear out an entire area, which is what I've been trying to do for this guild area since I initially started. That's why I did the project beneath it, and that's also why I've got this here now. This is the first prototype of a retriever-based instead of filter or transposer-based processing network. The items come in from the ender chest there, and a stack at a time is pulled out by this blank filter, and then it goes in here into a sorting machine. And this sorting machine has one of every ore on my server and the dusts. And the ores, well, the dusts because they have to go through for reprocessing again. So I have all 3 types of tin and all 3 types of copper, silver, gold, and iron, and junk that I actually want processed. The junk is sent out to the red line, which goes here, and then that's sent through a recycler network here, which you can see that I stuck in a bunch of overclockers and transformer upgrades. And it seems to be able to easily keep up with the miner, so I totally went overkill when I built this. The other thing that happens is there is a green line here, and the green line is where all the ores are sent, and that's a massive macerator loop, and it too is keeping up quite handily. No problems at all. And then the final stage is a bunch of induction furnaces, and those also have easily been able to keep up. I think everyone's mining operations on this entire server, even in a dense ore world, might not quite overpower this. I put in way too many overclocker upgrades. But that's the operation there, which then gets retrieved. The scrap, I don't actually need the single scrap in here anymore. I can put that over here. I've got a different way of handling single scrap now. So what happens is I've got an empty retriever here, and I've also got a retriever over here which is doing the stacks and the metals. The two primary retrievers there that are doing the stacks at a time keep the units cleared while it's in operation. But when it's done, you end up with like 3 or 4, a partial number of items in the various machines. That is what the secondary retriever, well, the trinitary one over here, is for. It triggers and goes through and says, do you have anything at all in your inventory? Okay, I'll take the entire stack. And then that ends up going out to the nearest retriever, which invariably ends up being one of these two. And if it's this retriever here, which is filtering for these things, then it comes out here and goes down this line, and it's sent over to here. And pardon the mess, there's a glitch with the version of iron chests that I happen to be using where these are not good. I'm going to be upgrading later as soon as there is a new release of Mystcraft, which is expected sometime soonish, relatively speaking. Or at least they're hoping it'll be done soon. We'll see. Anyway, all of those are sent out that way, and eventually this might fill up. I put these in here because I thought, oh, I would like to show the viewers, and no, it does the glitchy thing. I forgot it did that until after I set it up. While it's operating, the single one over here also does a good job of clearing out anything that happens to stay in the buffers. The recyclers are somewhat impressive to watch as they operate. We'll just wait a second for... See, a singular one went in there and you didn't even see it. It went so fast. There we go. That was a better stack. I also have no idea how much energy is being drained out of there because I set up one of these just to see how much power it could possibly produce, and yeah, it's more than enough. Way more than enough. Just completely experimenting here with this. And they didn't do a good job covering over the lake. There's a couple of other things that I've been working on the Mystcraft maps, and they involve a temporary world for the guild. There's a sky glitch here. This is just a way of looking at the various worlds that users on my server have set up, and here's the one that I want to go to. So on this world I was experimenting with two things. Number one, is this still abusable? Yes, it is. And if you have a solar panel and a no weather world, then you can... Whoa, what happened there? It's glitchy. Oh, it's... Apparently it was open when someone left. Or something, I'm not sure. It's very interesting. LUT is like continuously open. That's almost full. The other thing is I set up a mob grinder up there, and it was a little unnerving operating over the void. I made sure that I built it not using the flying ability, but we can go up here just to see it since I'm in creative mode to look at the other thing. Just standard operations. There shouldn't actually be any lights up here. It's not supposed to do that. Looks like a lighting glitch. Let's see if I can force that to update. Just plopping down a torch. No, there's something... Yeah, that worked. Why isn't that working? There's not a hole up here. I'm hoping that's just a client glitch. Well, yeah, there's... could have walked around, but probably it's fine. The other thing is I set up this wall here since they were coming over and bugging me. But yeah, that's... And this, since I didn't like the idea of falling off. Yeah, come on down. I don't even know. So yeah, I feel completely justified using the lamps that are made out of bone meal. I've got more than enough to spare. And that thing... Let's let it catch up a bit. It actually has enough power under normal conditions to completely keep up with these. Or maybe... No, it was when it was set to 8 that it did. So that's producing power, eternal day age. It's just... It doesn't have enough power to go through and get all of them 100% topped off from nothing. Oh, yeah. I can't turn that timer off, can I? I need it to clean up this mess. There we go. I think I've had enough fun with those guys. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to this week. Let's go back here and then back to the overworld. I thought I shut that door. So yeah, that takes a long, slow time to do the normal job, just for that little extra functionality that I put in there. It's about 4 times longer per operation. Maybe a little more actually, since I need to move it up and down instead of just leaving it in place when I move and extending it as needed. Yeah, it's probably a couple more times, a couple of orders of magnitude off from where I was thinking. So now it should be done with that, and it should go back. Yep, there we go. Excellent. Now I or someone else can idle in here, and it will actually mine out this section for me. Hooray! There's also this area up here on top that I built for anyone working for the guild, which has even more machines and enough macerators and other things souped up so that someone could build just about anything that they wanted for the guild and not have to worry too much about how much effort it would cost, since these would remove a lot of the speed hindrances, and there are a nice number of blue electric alloy furnaces. Let's build the scaffolding up there. So do I have any material to make a scaffolding out of? Yeah. Oh, you know what I'm missing up here? I don't have a crafting table in this thing. That's a severe oversight. Let's just add some in. Get rid of that one. These things cost practically nothing. I don't feel bad spawning them in like this for a contraption that I should have built myself like a week ago before I started all of this. There we go. So, scaffolding once again. $16 is more than enough. Let's see here. Ah! Well, that's not going to work. You know what? That's annoying. Ah. That's annoying too. Am I using that? Yeah, I am using that. Well, okay. Let's grab one of you. Just do that. There we go. Now everyone's happy. I suppose I should come back and show you what this looks like after the rest of the weekend and make sure that it completes its job successfully. So, I've updated all the mods and also the program. You can see that it's changed here. And I have allowed the mining to completely go down to the bedrock layer. Let me show you what I've changed about the mining rig. Most of this looks the same, except for back here. Let's look at the inside from over here. Kind of have to fly around at the moment. So I've changed where my deployers and my block breakers are. The block breakers are actually in the same spot, but the deployers I moved up here, and that allowed me to make a number of different changes. One of which was that I now have a sense loop based system for detecting when it is fully up and when it is fully down. The original reason that I avoided that was because of this lovely feature right here, where these are a complete pain to deal with. In the past, I've had it wrap all the way around from one side to the other, not happening. This is actually manageable. It goes up and down in one position, and I wrote routines, as you saw earlier, for it to go all the way down and come all the way back up. They're a little bit slower because I haven't tuned them at all, but they do the job, and what's important is that they do the job. It's mined out all the way down to the bedrock layer and one beneath it, but it's not quite as complete as the Mystcraft quarry, which will go down to the deepest depth that an individual block will go. But I blame Notch for having unmovable blocks higher than the lowest level. Really a design flaw there. The net haul from this mining and the other mining that did not have blocks confiscated is easily visible out here. It's not quite as much as you might hope for, but it's a respectable amount. And this chest has the resources that most people would be interested in. Let's just move the interesting goodies about. Yeah, that's close enough. Halfway organized. This is all the stuff that it didn't know how to file, some obsidian from earlier projects, ran across a couple of slimes, and I sent all of the marble up here to another set of chests for decorative projects. Quite a bit of marble there. And all the scrap over here, so that the guild's members can use it in scrap generators to produce useful things. Let's look at the machine again. One problem is that these motors, if you misconfigure the size of left or right, or if it misses a beat or two, can get locked up and the machine can get jammed. That's one of the reasons that I have the detecting loops and the program in there that I do. It's so that you can reset the operation to some midpoint slightly more easily in a slightly automated fashion. Oh, I also was able to get rid of that one motor because now I had a frame on top of this one, so I could run power in that way. The structural changes also required that I completely reroute how power gets down to things. It's a little bit longer, but also passes through fewer motors, so arguably is better. That's just a graphical glitch right there. They actually do connect. Oh, yeah. Since I updated all of the mods on my server, including iron chests and Railcraft, Optifine, etc., the graphical glitch that was causing a number of issues has been completely resolved, and there are no longer those mysterious OpenGL rendering error messages on my console. I did have to increase the speed of my timer, though, since the operation of the machine was putting out junk blocks faster than it could keep up with. It was just continuously processing the stone that was being put through it and not getting to any of the other items that had flowed into the other slots. While I was mining this out, I did have some water around the edges in a test maneuver to flood the area. It was quite effective at flooding it, and if I had not cleared out the lava beforehand, I had an issue with this down here, I might have left it going, but it consumed quite a lot of CPU to let that water flow through and get rid of itself. There's a real need for some kind of different solution for that, although I have not yet come up with one that satisfies my design requirements. However, I am quite happy with the miner's effect, and now that the more complicated mining is done, it's also possible to build more bulk mining systems that could just, for example, shave off a wall here like you might have seen in one of Direwolf's SMP videos. The reason that the person who made the other miner was able to simplify it to that extent, I have determined is actually because they started with a Mystcraft quarry and then continued shaving off a side off of it, which vastly simplified the design since they no longer had to worry about shifting back and forth to clear out in a range of blocks and dig all the way down. This actually did take up quite a bit of time of my free time this week, and I also have the Nishtown SMP videos to contribute to, which I've done very little of this week. And I think that I'm going to be getting very busy in the next couple of weeks as well with an upcoming convention. So I'm probably going to actually do maybe a goal of one video a week as my base goal, and try to get more videos out if I happen to have spare time or interesting projects to show. There's really not much worse than just showing you a video and saying, hey, this is what I did this week, and it's just a bunch of boring stuff that you don't really need to see, and you can look at other people playing the same stuff and get more of an effect because they're interacting with other guests, other personalities, or just actually having more time to do something that's actually fun that week as opposed to the preparatory work for doing fun things. I might actually show you a video of something else. I'm not sure. I have to think about that instead of just coming up with it on the fly. But one of the things that I'm definitely missing in both mods is... can't press F5 without turning off my camera. Right now, I still have the nano suit on this one, and I don't even have a jetpack. It's why I'm in creative mode flying around right now. The other one, I also only have a nano suit, which I just barely constructed by the end of the last video, so I haven't had a chance to do practically anything with it yet. The guild project for clearing this off has actually taken up much more time than I thought it would. Even just building all of this flying around in creative mode, it still took me a bit of time to get things working the way that I wanted, since I was also experimenting with the transposer feature for it to collect items from chests that might be sitting around. There haven't been any here, but I did confirm that it's able to collect items from beneath it if such a thing were to happen. It's just not very likely to happen. It also, what I would most prefer it to do is to somehow know that there is a spawner or an end portal near it, and to not mine that, to just stop there, and I don't know of any way of doing that with the current Redpower facilities. However, at the moment, none of the things will actually skip over that. The IC2 miner, if you happen to align it, will puncture straight down through it, and it'll destroy the end gate or whatever, or the dungeon chest that way. And the Buildcraft miner will dig up the entire thing. I'm pretty sure I haven't had experience with it, but it would seem to make sense that that would be the case. Which really leaves no method of doing that besides pre-clearing out the area first. And in order to do that, a person would either have to have decent armor and great skill, which I lack the latter one of, or overpowered armor and okay skill, which I think is the combination I will have to go with. So definitely upgrading the armor is my next logical step. Well, here anyway, upgrading the armor in the other SMP video might have to wait until after I get my mining situation sorted out after the recent upgrades on that server. If you have any suggestions for further tasks that, further problems that a world like this might need solved, then please let me know. I think over the next week I will continue clearing out the guild sector here so that more permanent projects can be started with a clean basement and plenty of room to work in. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.